Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, Real Chalk Reviews. Wishing you all a happy new year, hoping 2025 blesses you with good health, wealth, peace, and happiness. And with that being said, this review is for Tyler Perry's Zatima. This is season 3, episode 13, Life Goes On. So we open up the episode where we left off with Connie taking Fatima to the hospital, realizing that Jeremiah is still alive. So now everybody is confused, and we as the audience will love to know, how was Zach arrested in the first place when Jeremiah is laying right here, alive, not well, but alive? So Fatima, she immediately pulls her phone out to try to get an attorney for Zach, and Jeremiah, he just started trying to apologize to her, but she didn't want to hear it. So Connie, she asked him, like, what are the doctors saying? Jeremiah's laying there like la-di-da. About what? Sir, about your condition. So he tells her he only has some bumps and bruises, and they get ready to leave, and he wants to know where they're going and asks them, are they just going to leave him there, and saying nobody cares about him. And I'm like, I beg to differ, because we had to watch 1,000 episodes in the first half of the season with everybody trying to run around to protect you from Zach. So no, they do care about you, but you're going to have to get it together. But nevertheless, Connie tells him she'll talk to him another time. So outside of Jeremiah's room, Connie asks Fatima who was she planning on calling to help Zach out. And within a blink of an eye, she changes her mind and says no one. And of course, Connie wants to know what's up with that. And Fatima tries to explain to her that Zach needs to learn his lesson and sit there and think about what he's done. Connie wasn't really feeling all of that. She's like, what if things get serious? And if this was her man, she would be busting the jail down. And Fatima had to remind her, this is not your man. Zach will be all right. He's been in jail before. One night will not hurt him. So Connie gets Fatima to admit that she's relieved that the situation wasn't as serious as it could have been, and she just may not be done with Zach. So over there at the jail, Zach, he calls Preston because now he wants him to go back to Fatima's house so he can try to talk to her again. And of course he says that he would. So Preston, he gets off the phone with Zach, and for some odd reason, Bryce is in his car, and I'm confused as to where they hooked up. Why is Bryce's car over at Angela's house when he called Angela earlier and said, I would like to come over later to talk to you, so why would your car be there? Preston didn't pick you up from Angela's house, and he's asking you, where is your car? Because apparently he doesn't know where Angela lives, so it's all very confusing. But anyway, Preston, he started trying to make small talk, asking him about him and Angela's relationship. He admitted that they are no longer together, but he basically just wanted to leave it at that. He didn't want to go into any more details and said that they are fine. So Fatima, she gets back to the house, getting Connie back to her 95 when Dr. Reed comes walking up. So Connie, she starts asking 21 questions. Who is that? Fatima tells her it's Zach's therapist, and now she wants to know what's he doing over there. And me and Fatima like, excuse me? Like, girl, stop. Like, are you done? So she reluctantly goes to her car, and Dr. Reed and Fatima, they go in the house. So Fatima and Dr. Reed, they're in there talking, and she tells him about Jeremiah being alive, but she still wants Zach to suffer and be taught a lesson. So she's asking Dr. Reed, what does he think about that? And he says, more importantly, what do you think? So she tells him that Zach does the dumbest thing sometimes, and all I could think about was her over there at Deja's house. And then she says that Zach is stubborn and he doesn't listen, and it's given pot meets kettle. So Dr. Reed, he asks her, do you want to talk about you? She says, no, you're Zach's therapist. But mind you, she called him from work and she was very distraught and couldn't process what was going on and said that she was angry. That's when he offered her to come over so they can talk and he can walk her through it or try to help her out a little bit. So that's really why he was here. He wasn't really there to get a Zach bashing. He wanted to try to help her process her feelings. So she apologized to him for coming over there, and he just asked one thing of her, and that was for her to at least sleep on this decision and wake up with a clear head. So he gets ready to leave, and when they get to the door, Fatima gives him a hug. And lo and behold, we look up. Connie is still sitting in her car like she's on some damn stakeout. So Fatima, she peeps her sitting out there and she goes up to the car and jokingly says, looks like your car's running pretty good to me, meaning, why are you still out here? And she lies and says that she was waiting for her car to warm up a little bit. But we all know Connie was going to sit her behind right there in that car all night if she had to see just how long Dr. Reed was up in that house. And with that being said, Connie, while you're low-key playing Inspector Gadget on Zach's behalf, where are your kids? Who's watching them? So Bryce, he finally makes it over there to Angela's house and he's like, do you have company? She says, if I did, I wouldn't have let you in here. He starts talking about Zach again and how he feels like it's his fault, and she has to tell him, just like Preston did, this is not your fault. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. So she gently touches him, gives him a couple of kind words, and starts talking about steaks and cows, and basically told him to stop being so sensitive. So some kind of way in his mind, he thought that meant, let me go ahead and try her and shoot my shot. So he asked her, did he have to leave? And she slightly and politely told him, yes, you do. And he wants to know why, because you have company.
Shut your stupid ass up.
Like, didn't she just tell you she didn't have company? Otherwise, you wouldn't even be in there. I don't know why she has to give an explanation, but she does tell him no because I've had a long day at work. So he brings up Fatima and Zach and how she's handling all of that, and Angela told him, allow Fatima to handle Zach and you just worry about the business part, and reassured him once again that none of this was his fault. So we go back over there to the jail and Zach calls Preston back. He's like, are you there yet? Put her on the phone. And Preston is like, un momento, let me knock on the door first. Like, relax. So Fatima, she comes to the door. Of course, she's annoyed and she tells Preston, look, you know Zach is not here. So Preston is trying to give Fatima the heads up and Zach is on the other end saying, put him on speaker. So Zach convinces Fatima to get the phone and go on the inside of the house so Deja won't be in their business. So he gets her to listen to him, and the first thing he says is, look, I was wrong. Are you happy now? Like, no. So she says to him, what the hell does that mean? And he says that it came out wrong. So she doesn't tell him anything about Jeremiah. She just pretends that everything is the same, that she can't help and there's nothing she can do. These were the choices that he made, blah, blah, blah. So, of course, a lot of times when people are behind bars, they say anything that they think the person wants to hear. So he's telling her that he's sorry and that he feels like ish and this and that and the other. So she starts throwing out some hypotheticals just to see where his mind was at. Like, if he had a chance to do it all over again, would he? So when he can't just flat out say no, he won't do it again, he can't just allow someone to hurt her. She feels like he's not being sincere and hasn't learned his lesson yet. So she tells Zach that she has to go and she gives Preston his phone back. So Zach, he's in his feelings. Preston lets him know that Fatima is gone, and he wants to know, is there anything else he can do for Zach? And he says no, he'll be all right, and they hang up. So we head over there to the hood, and Connie calls Nate and Tony over there because she can't understand why Zach is in jail when Jeremiah is still alive. So now all of a sudden Nate is so ready to go get Zach up out of jail, but yet and still he sat in the barbershop all day long with Tony and didn't move a muscle to at least make a phone call to try to see what was going on. Like, call the hospital, find out what happened to Jeremiah, call down to the jail, see if Zach had a bond, which you don't get a bond for unaliving somebody, but call Fatima, see what's going on. They did none of that. So now he wants to know what Fatima wants to do, and Connie says she wants to leave him in there overnight to teach him a lesson. Oh, now he blows a whole gasket. He's saying how Fatima has never been to jail before, and every second that Zach is in there is going to drive him crazy. They have to get him out and get him out now. And I'm just wondering, where was all this energy before? I don't understand. So basically, Nate doesn't care what Fatima wants. He needs to get his friend up out of there. He's not with leaving him in there. He cursed both Tony and Connie out, told them F you, called them suckers, called them sellouts, called her a punk A and all of that, put his little cape on, and he hauled ass. So Tony says, I don't know where he's going. It's not like he can do anything because apparently he has warrants. So Tony, he was just grateful that Jeremiah was still alive and that his friend will eventually get out of jail. Connie, she goes back into Inspector Gadget mode and asks Tony, what does he know about Zach's therapist? And he was hemming and hawing. He really don't know too much of anything, but he somehow remembered that, yeah, they were cracking jokes about it. So Connie's still trying to get information, ask him, is the therapist cool with Fatima? And he tells her he thinks that's how Zach met him, through her. So then out of the blue, Tony asks Connie, is she okay? And she just says, yeah, I'm fine. The average person would have wanted to know what made you ask that, but she just played it off and told him to go on about his business. And it's just the setup to find out later on that Connie is probably going to end up sick. So we go back over to the jail once again, and one of the officers is trying to talk to Zach, and he doesn't want to be bothered at all. The officer is telling Zach that he knows Fatima and that he was listening to his telephone conversation. So the officer says that he was at one of Deja's parties the other night and that she wanted to give Zach a message. Zach says he doesn't need any messages from Deja, and the officer says, you're going to want to see this because your girl is stepping out on you. He pulls his cell phone out to show Zach, and it's a picture of Fatima and Dr. Reed standing in the doorway hugging. And that's where the episode ends. Woo child, this officer is super messy. So first of all, we never saw Deja this entire episode, and Connie was the only one at that particular moment directly in front of the door to be able to take this picture. Number two, if Deja has this particular officer in her back pocket to where she can get messages in and out of jail, why was she outside on the phone for damn near 24 hours trying to get an officer to come to her house to arrest Fatima if you know somebody? And lastly, would you have told Zach that Jeremiah was indeed alive, but you still couldn't do anything for him until the next day? Or would you have played it the way Fatima did? Drop down in the comments. Let me know what you thought about the episode. And as always, you guys, thanks for the support. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.